Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating historical narrative where physical captivity literally equates to spiritual freedom. I know, it's a concept that completely flips our modern understanding of power and liberty right on its head. We're going to explore the deeply moving account of Prophet Yusuf, also known as Joseph, and his absolutely profound choice to face imprisonment rather than compromise his core values. The historical and psychological depth we're about to look at offers a striking exploration of resilience and faith. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because we immediately face a massive central paradox. Why would an innocent man actually choose chains over freedom? You know, we all inherently desire liberty, but here we have a man who hasn't just been falsely accused. His innocence has actually been conclusively proven. Yet, he willingly embraces the cold, dark reality of a dungeon. To really understand this monumental choice, we have to peel back the layers of societal pressure, elite influence, and the unwavering faith that absolutely define this specific moment in history.
And that brings us to our first major turning point, the final ultimatum and anger. At this stage in the narrative, the intense pressure Prophet Yusuf faces is reaching an absolute boiling point. Zulaikha, the wife of the Aziz, has seen all of her previous plots and machinations completely fail, and her obsession has now metastasized into pure, unadulterated rage, resulting in a final, inescapable ultimatum.
But despite being entirely cornered by this elite power structure, Yusuf maintains an unbreakable resolve. I mean, think about it. The easiest thing in the world for him to do right now would be to just yield to the immense pressure of his circumstances. He's a foreigner, he's a servant, and he is up against the absolute highest echelons of Egyptian society. Yet his moral compass remains absolutely firm. He doesn't flinch, not even for a second.
Which brings us to our next section, the choice of imprisonment. This is where we see a profound internal shift. Instead of engaging in a shouting match with the elite, Yusuf retreats inward, seeking solitude and turning to his Lord in prayer. And out of that deep prayer comes this truly stunning declaration from the Quranic text. "O my Lord, prison is more beloved to me than that to which they invite me." Just take a second to process the sheer weight of that statement. He doesn't just passively accept the prison sentence with a heavy heart, he actively prefers it. He's basically looking at two choices: a life of luxury and status built on a foundation of moral compromise, or a dark prison cell built on absolute integrity. And he chooses the cell. It's just a profound demonstration of character.
And this brilliantly illustrates a deeply profound psychological and spiritual reality. In the second part of his prayer, he states, "And if you do not avert from me their plan, I might incline toward them and thus be of the ignorant." He's openly acknowledging his own human vulnerability here. He knows that without divine protection, the relentless, overwhelming pressure from society might eventually wear him down. He is placing his absolute reliance on God to guard him against the weaknesses of human nature. You see, he's recognizing that true strength isn't about claiming to be invincible, it's about knowing exactly where your strength comes from.
Now let's observe how this internal resolve clashes with the external world in our next section, an unjust verdict. We're about to see a very jarring contrast between Yusuf's integrity and the Egyptian elite's obsession with optics.
If we map out the sequence of events, you can see the cruel irony of this situation perfectly. First, the false accusation is made. Second, his innocence is proven. The source text refers to this as the signs being seen. The evidence was completely irrefutable. But then comes the third point, unjust imprisonment. The natural progression of justice is entirely derailed. The Egyptian elite literally look at the undeniable proof of his innocence, and instead of freeing him, they choose a cover-up to protect their own social standing. It's wild.
The source text is actually incredibly explicit about this injustice. It's captured in this verse. "Then it appeared to them, after they had seen the signs, that he should surely imprison him for a time." The absolutely crucial detail here is the phrasing "after they had seen the signs." It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a lack of evidence. The decision to throw an innocent man into a dungeon came specifically after the evidence of his absolute innocence was fully established and visible to everyone involved.
So we now leave the opulent, noisy halls of the unjust elite and transition to a much starker reality: the dungeon and the chains. The verdict has been given and Yusuf is led away. Imagine the heavy, cold iron of those chains. Imagine the silent, suffocating reality of a historical prison cell. It's a harsh,
physical punishment intentionally designed to break a person's spirit, designed to make them regret choosing their principles over the demands of the powerful. But as we step behind those dark walls, we find something entirely unexpected, which brings us to our next section: divine wisdom in the prison. Here, we observe a profound spiritual peace as Yusuf calmly hands his life over to God. So the crucial point is this striking contrast between societal intent and divine reality. The Egyptian elite intended this as a societal punishment to bury him, to silence him and make an example out of him. But the divine reality was actually preparation for prophethood. What society intended as a burial was literally a divine incubator. This period of isolation wasn't the end of his story. It was a carefully designed, highly necessary phase of growth that would prepare him for the monumental prophetic mission that lay ahead. Our source material today, Animated Quranic Tales, leaves us with some truly timeless lessons. It highlights patience in the face of absolute injustice, steadfastness when the whole world is seemingly against you, and maintaining integrity when it would be so much easier to just compromise. And above all, it emphasizes trusting in divine wisdom even when your current reality looks like a dark, inescapable cell. These aren't just historical footnotes, right? They are powerful, super applicable tools for navigating societal pressure in our own lives today.
Now, the original source material does invite viewers to subscribe and share this knowledge as a form of continuous charity, a beautiful concept known as sadaqah jariyah. But as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will this divine preparation actually shape his new life in the dark confines of the prison? A man of light is now locked in absolute darkness. How does a prophet operate from a dungeon? Keep that question in the back of your mind, and I look forward to exploring the next chapter of this incredible narrative with you next time.